Here's a couple of ways that I have tried to be supportive of my partner during pregnancy, which, whether or not I'm actually being successful at that, isn't up to me to decide. But I think, if anything, I'm making an attempt, and I've learned things along the way, and I know I have not been perfect at it, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that I haven't been perfect at, and things that I think I've done a decent job with and am making the attempt to do every single day. So Samantha has been pregnant for a while, as many of you know, and we have gone through the different phases of it. There's been different symptoms and things that come with it throughout each stage. The first trimester maybe being the most significant in terms of those stages so far. And I think that one, most people talk about the morning sickness and the nausea, which she was experiencing. The hardest thing with that one too was her low energy, which I was trying to, it was so sudden, because now it's like expected because we've been used to the pregnancy. But the first trimester low energy thing was shocking, because you go from being not pregnant and being very active. We last year were like the most active versions of ourselves as we were getting ready for our wedding. And we were exercising every day and pushing ourselves and just like going for it. And then all of a sudden it felt like that just abruptly changed once the first trimester hit. And now I will say the second trimester had a lot more energy and she was able to do a lot more. But that first one was daunting. And so adapting my expectations to her energy was its own hurdle that I think we navigated well, and I understood that. And just learning about the natural energy shift that happens when someone's in their first trimester was good to know, because it was just so weird for her to all of a sudden be like so tired and out of it. So the other big thing with the first trimester was the food aversions. And the hardest thing throughout the pregnancy is finding ways for her to eat protein, because it seems like the biggest aversion has been to meat. And I love meat. I love cooking meat. My ideal meal in a day is a protein, a piece of meat, and some vegetables. Like, I think that's the best meal you could eat for your energy. And she doesn't even want the smell of it in the house. It's so nauseating for her. So one thing we've done is we've tried to find alternatives, and day to day, certain meats might be better than others. The one she's been able to palate the most has been ground turkey, which has been great because turkey is high in protein, low in fat. You can do a ton of things with it. You can turn it into meatballs or hamburgers, and that's been wonderful. Also, we've experimented with tofu a lot more. And although tofu isn't like my favorite thing in the world, it's still a great way to get some protein into a meal. And it's vegan, of course, so anybody can eat it. And I think it's been good to get those things down. But that's been a really big struggle, because I love chicken, I love beef, and she traditionally does too. And what happens is your energy's already low, and then the only thing that seems to be able to for her to stomach is carbohydrates. And the carbs are fast burning carbs, and they don't give you that long form energy that protein does. So that throws your energy off too. So finding ways to get protein has been a struggle. And for me to be supportive, I do the cooking. So I try to be very patient when it comes to meals. A lot of the times she doesn't even want to make up her mind about eating dinner until later in the evening. And so we can't really plan meals out, or I have to then go to the store later in the evening to get the things for whatever meals she thinks she can eat that night. And I've learned to just detach my own feelings, my own cravings, my own things for the sake of helping her be able to eat what she needs to eat and what she's able to eat with the sicknesses. That has been its own challenge for me, just as like I like to plan out what I'm cooking. I like to vary up what I'm eating, and almost what's happened is there's been so much less of an interest with what we're eating as long as it doesn't nauseate her. And usually Samantha is like so opinionated about food. She loves food, and watching that change in your partner can be a little bit daunting as well, because it's like, oh, like something that defines you usually is very different all of a sudden. But the first trimester was weird. I would say the weirdest time was before we actually knew she was pregnant, and we were just like, what is going on? Like, the mood's all over the place, the appetite's all over the place, like what exactly is happening? And because it happened very quickly for us, I was almost like, there's no way it could be pregnancy. It just felt like it was, I don't know, it was some sort of mood swing. And the second one, like I said, so far the second trimester has probably been the easiest, and they say that's the thing, because you get your energy back, some of your cravings, the nausea goes away, you get a sense of who you were back. And the third one, then there comes the like first trimester symptoms back again, and you have to be prepared for that. Although I would say maybe not as extreme, I don't know, as the first one. The first one is really, really difficult, and I would say has been the most difficult thing in our relationship. The moods were all over the place, and the moods were also a big challenge for me to be supportive, and where I think a lot of my shortcomings came was in not taking things personally that were making my wife moody. And that can be really hard. And I am just one of those people. That's always been one of my shortcomings, is taking things personally and not detaching feelings. We all have our feelings, and they all come out in inconvenient ways. And that certainly came out in me a few times during the pregnancy, and it more just comes to feeling like you can't do enough, or that you're inadequate, or that you're constantly getting the blame, and you're doing all of these things. And I'm telling you, just remove the personal feelings from it, because it's not about you. Maybe it's about you if you're not a supportive person, or if you're a lazy person or something, but most of the time it's the partner who's pregnant working through their own frustrations and mood swings, and it's getting bounced off of you because you're the one there. And the stronger you stand in those times, and the more supportive you can be in those times, the better. Because you know, it's like that thing where it's like those are the trying moments that prove you, is in those really tense moments. You know, on the day-to-day, being supportive is great, but it's when the shit hits the fan moments that you really need to be able to be there, and you're not going to be perfect all the time. And that's okay, and it's okay to acknowledge your imperfections and try to learn from them. Try to look back at the moments where you got testy, or where you got emotional, and see how you can fix them the next times. To me, sometimes it's just making little tweaks to what I'm saying or doing to get a better reaction out of Samantha. Like, for me, I get very antsy. I like to get up and move around and clean things, and say, if we're going to go on a walk, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get on a walk, and I put my shoes on and I'm getting ready. and it might take Samantha a little longer. And then I'll start asking, are you ready to go? Are you ready to go on a walk? Are we ready yet? And that might get on her nerves because it's her, she's trying to muster the energy to get up and go on this walk. And here I am like, are you ready? Come on, let's go. And it's pushing on her. And it took me a while to kind of lay off of that, or maybe ask it in a more, like, when do you think you might be ready? Because I'll go do something else in the meantime. Ways that don't feel quite as like pushing on the button in that extreme way. Same thing with the eating. It's like, I would ask her, what do you want for dinner? And she'd be like, how can you ask me that right now? And it's just like, instead I'll ask her if she has any ideas, or, or instead of asking like, what can I cook right now? Just being more like, what can I do to help you right now? And sometimes she'll be like, cooking breakfast or cooking dinner, and that leads to those results. But just trying to like push her to my own agenda is never a good idea. And I'm learning that as we go. And, we all have our agendas and we all have the things we want. And pregnancy and parenthood is going to be a constant inconvenience to our own agendas. And I know that. And those sort of compromises I'm learning to make right now will probably only amplify in parenthood. And I know that I've got to get used to those things. One of my things is I'm very set on getting my videos made and on working throughout the day, because my brain is just like constantly driving forward, and something interrupts me from that process, and I can get testy, and I can be a little bit like, what, I'm doing something, and I get frustrated at putting that on the back burner. But that's life, and life is always kind of intercepting the work brain and the forward mentality. But you can't help those things. You can't help when life interferes, and when loved ones need you in a moment. You've got to be there and trust that if you put your attention to that thing and handle that thing, you can then return to what it was you want to get done, and there you will make the time for it. If you truly want something, you'll make the time for it, and no matter what stands in your way. And I've posted videos on TikTok every single day, except for our wedding day, for the last 3+ years. Every single day, multiple times usually. Very few times has it only been once a day. And now I have multiple accounts, and I'm on YouTube, and I'm on all sorts of things, Instagram, and there's a lot of work to be done. And there's product deals and all this stuff you've got to juggle. And with anyone's job, things they have to juggle that you will get a sense of overwhelmed with. And so just remember, your purpose is to be a supportive partner in life. Your purpose isn't to be anything else, because when the happy wife, happy life, when the partnership is working, everything else falls into place. When that thing isn't working, when your marriage isn't working, when you're fighting, all that stuff, you know what happens. Everything else falls apart. It's just like the law of the universe. And keeping that thing happy and content is going to pay off for you so much more than pushing it off to the side to work on other things. That will just make everything fall apart. Now, as we've gotten further along in the pregnancy, I've been driving Samantha around to help her not have to drive, and I do things like I open the door for her. I drive her up to the front of the apartment and let her inside first before I park the car. And I've made little tweaks to our lifestyle just to make it easier for her to get around. I try to imagine carrying around this extra weight myself, and on top of all the symptoms. And it's a struggle. And I think everybody, I think of a woman who doesn't have a partner, like how difficult that must be to be a single woman raising a child and being pregnant, because it's a journey for them. And I see it right away and I acknowledge it, and everybody else should too. So being supportive it's not always easy, and it's going to toy with you a little bit, but if you're a good partner, you'll do it and you'll learn from it.